Assalamu alaikum friends, welcome to a Basics of Python series by Urdu IT Academy. So today is our lesson 6 and we are going to learn about if statements and the indentation. So let's get started. First, Python condition statement. So these condition statements allow Python to make decision based upon some conditions. For example, usually whenever the Python code is executed, you know that the Python will execute the first line of code first, then the second line, then the third line, like that. But there might be a situation when we want to execute some codes based on some decision, based on some condition. If it is true, we might need to execute some blocks, or we might need to skip some codes. If the condition is true, we have to do something like that. Okay. In such situation, we can use the condition statements. So these condition statements are common in controlling the programming flow. So different actions occur based on different input, data, or variables. Okay. So the first one is the if statement. So the syntax of the if statements is given here. So one second. If text expression. Text expression means the condition. So we can write if followed by a condition. If the condition is true, we can execute it. The computer will go below inside the if block and it will execute the statements inside the if block. Okay, remember, whenever we are writing the if statement, the if should be in small letter. Okay, so small letter if, you need a space and you have to add a text expression. Text expression means you can write any condition. For example, you can simply write true also. So if it is true, it will, obviously it is going to execute the statements inside. Okay, otherwise you can check conditions like if number greater than 0, or if number is less than 5, or if number not equal to 10, or if name equal to Ali. So you can write different condition, whichever you like. So the computer will check that condition text expression. If it is true, only if it is true, it will execute the statements inside the if block. Okay, so after the text expression, you need to add a colon also. Okay, and whenever you are writing a line, inside the if block, the statements, you need to add a space here. So this space tells the computer that this statement is inside the if block. Okay, and we call this space as indentation. Okay, this space is called indentation. So you need the if in small letter followed by the condition, text expression, and a colon. Now inside the if block, you need an indentation, which means a space followed by the statements. You can add many number of lines, as a statement. Statements means normal Python code, just like print, like that, okay? So you can add as many lines as you wanted, but remember, for all those lines, you need to use the same indentation. And the first unintended line, which means the first line without the space, tells the computer the end of the if block. Okay. So now let's quickly learn what is an indentation. So indentation refers to the spaces at the beginning of a code line. Okay. For example, here in this code, before the statements, you have some space. We call this space as indentation. Okay. So each block of code must be indented consistently. So Python uses indentation to indicate a block of code. Python will give you an error if you skip the indentation. Okay, so the number of spaces is up to the programmer, but it has to be at least one. And typically, 4 spaces or a tab is used as an indentation. And you have to use the same number of spaces in the same block of code. Otherwise, Python will give you an error. Okay, so you always have to maintain consistent indentation to avoid errors and to improve your code readability. Okay, now let's move on, continue with the condition statements. Now the if-else statement. So if-else statement, the syntax is given here. First, you need to write the if, followed by the text expression, which is the condition. And you need the colon, don't forget the colon. Below that, you can have the body of the if. Okay. Now, here, this is the else block. And below else, colon, and body of the else. So here, else block means computer will check this condition. It can be any condition, okay? If this condition is true, imagine this condition is true. Computer will be checking that condition. For example, number equal to 5, name equal to Sarah. It can be any condition. So if this condition is true, imagine if this condition is true, then the computer will go inside and it will execute the body of the if. And it will skip the else block. And it will be directly going below the if. Okay. So suppose whenever the computer is checking if the condition is false, imagine the condition is false. So what happens if the condition is false? It will skip the body of the if and it will be directly going inside the else and it will execute the body of the else. Okay. So the if-else statement means computer will check the condition in text expression. If it is true, it will only execute the body of the if. It will skip the body of the else. And if the condition is true, false, then it will skip the body of the if and it will execute the body of the else. Okay. You can see this here. Example. So we are printing entry number. We are asking the user to enter a number. So the user is typing a number here. So imagine the number is -10. Okay. So we are checking if num greater than 0. So this -10 is stored inside the variable num. So here we are checking the condition here. Text expression is num greater than equal to 0. So now the num is -10. So the -10 greater than equal to 0 is wrong. Right? It's false. So it will skip the body of the if, which means that print. It will be directly going inside the else and it is printing minus num, which is -10 is negative. Okay. So if it is a positive number, then whenever it is checking if num greater than 0, if it is a positive number means this condition will be true, right? In that case, it will be checking, it will be printing that positive number is positive, like if it is 10, 20, whatever number. Okay. Now let's see, let's try an example. So here, first let's try an example for the simple if. For example, if I have a num equal to 5. So what I'm going to do is that I'm adding an if block to check if num equal to 5. Okay, I'm just checking if the number is actually 5 or not. So if it is true, then I'm going to print the number is 5. Okay, so here you can see before the print we have a space. This space is called as indentation. Okay, so here whenever I'm running it, it's printing the number is 5. Okay, so if at all I'm skipping this line, we can see there is a red line coming below the print. It's saying expected intended block, which means computer is expecting, Python is expecting a space there. So whenever I'm running it, you can see there is indentation error. So whenever you are getting an indentation error, remember there is something wrong with the spaces. You have to either add a space, you have to either remove a space, or if there is more than one line, if the spaces, both the lines have different space, then also you will get an indentation error. Okay. So usually we need to add four spaces, or we can say a tab space. So whichever you like, you can add as an indentation. Okay. So this is a simple example for the if block, if statement. So we can add different, we can have different examples. For example, maybe I have a variable name equal to, maybe I'm asking the user to enter a name, input, enter a name. So here I'm going to check if name equal to maybe Sarah. So if name equal to Sarah, then I'm going to print hi Sarah. Okay, let's try. They are asking a name. entry name. I'm typing Sarah. So Sarah is stored inside the variable name. So name, I have entered Sarah. Sarah equal to, here we are checking if name equal to Sarah, which is true. So that's why the computer is giving us an output. It is printing hi Sarah. Okay. Now let's try it again. Now this time instead of Sarah, I'm going to type a name. Maybe Ali. So you know that name is Ali is stored inside the variable name. Computer is taking name Ali equal to Sarah, which is wrong. That's why it's not going inside the if block. It is going below that. There is no more line. That's why nothing is printing. Okay. So in this situation, such situation, we can use a if-else statement, which means if the condition is wrong, if we want to print something, we can use a else block. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add an else block here. Remember, else is kind of like if block. There is no need to add any space before the else, okay? Don't add else accidentally like this, by adding some space before that. So there is no space needed before the else. Okay. So else, which means if the condition is wrong, I'm going to print maybe, I don't know who you are, but hi. Something like that. So whenever I'm running it, you can see if I'm typing Sarah, it's printing hi Sarah only, which means the else block is skipped. Okay. Now, whenever I'm running it, if I'm typing some other name, maybe I'm just typing a name, Alan. It's saying, I don't know who you are, but hi, which means computer is checking if Alan equal to Sarah, which is wrong. So it is printing the L blocks inside, code inside the else block, which is, I don't know who you are, but hi. Clear? Now, the first unintended line indicates the end of the if block or else block, whatever it is. For example, if I'm writing a line without a space here, print, just printing outside if else. Or maybe we can print something like this line is always printed. Okay. So whenever we are running it, it's asking us to enter a name. Maybe I'm typing a name, Leah. So Leah equal to Sarah is wrong. So it will be executing the else block, which is I don't know who you are. After that, it's saying this line is always printed. Okay. Let's run it again. If I'm typing the same name, Sarah, you can see first it is printing hi Sarah because the condition is true. After that, this line is always printed, is also printed because this line is not inside the if or else. So it will be always printed. Clear? Now, one more thing, imagine you have more than one line inside the if block. For example, it's saying it's here now it is printing hi Sarah, right? Also, here maybe I'm adding another print statement, print, how are you? Okay. So remember both of these lines, they are inside the if block. So they should have the same number of space. Enter name, maybe I'm typing Sarah itself. So it's saying, hi Sarah, how are you? So if you add an extra space here, like this will give you indentation error. Okay. So if there is more than one line inside an if block, then all the lines should have the same number of space. Okay. Yeah. Now let's continue. Now let's learn about the if, elif, and else statement. So this is a syntax of the if and elif statements. So first, if text expression, the condition obviously. If it is true, the computer will execute the body of the if. Okay. And imagine if this condition is wrong. Then what happens is that computer will be coming in the elif statement and it will check the text expression of the elif statement. If it is true, the computer will execute the body of the elif and it will skip the body of the else. Okay. And suppose if condition is wrong, then the computer will check the elif condition, which is also wrong. then what happens? Computer will be directly executing the body of the else. Okay. So the if-elif-else statement we need to use when we have to check more than one condition. Okay. When we need to check more than one condition, instead of adding different if blocks, what we can do is that we can add an if and elif block. Okay. So computer will check the first if condition. If it is true, it will skip all the remaining elif and else block, else statements. Okay. And if the first if condition is wrong, then the computer will check the elif condition. If it is also wrong, if there is more than one elif condition, then it will check the next elif condition also. Otherwise, if all the conditions are wrong, then the computer will be executing the body of the else. Okay. Now let's see an example. Here you can see we are printing. We are asking the user to type a number between 1 to 7. Okay. So here, imagine the user can type any number, right? Whatever number they are typing, we are storing it inside the variable day. Day equal to int input. So after that, we are checking if day equal to 1. If it is 1, we are printing Monday. Imagine the user is entering 1. Then the computer will print Monday and it will skip all the remaining elif and else block. Computer will not check that. It will be directly going below the else block. Okay. Now here you can see in this output, the user has entered the number 5. So what happens if the user has entered the number 5? So the 5 will be stored inside the variable day. So the value of the variable day is now 5, which means computer will check the first condition. If day equal to 1, it's wrong. So the computer will be directly checking the next condition in the elif block, day equal to 2, which is also wrong. So it is checking the next condition, day equal to 3, which is also wrong. Then it is checking the next condition, which is day equal to 4, which is also wrong. Then it is checking the next condition, elif day equal to 5, which is true, right? Because day is 5. So it is printing Friday. So it is printing Friday. See? After that, it will skip the remaining elif and else block. Clear? Now, whenever the user is typing any number other than 1 to 7, imagine the user is typing a number 100 or a negative number or maybe 55. So if they are typing any number other than 1 to 7, which means the if and all the elif conditions are wrong. In that case, it will go inside the else block and it will print there is no day in that number. Clear? So that is the if, elif and else block. Now let's see an example. Let's try another example. So maybe here, I'm asking the user to enter a number. So num is equal to int input, enter a number. Okay. So I want to check if this number, whatever number they are typing, whether it is positive, negative, or 0. Okay. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to check the first. First, obviously, we need to add the if. Okay. So I'm checking if num is greater than 0. So if it is greater than 0, we can print the num. Maybe we can print something like num is positive. Okay. Now, what if the number is negative? So to check that, we need the elif statement. The second condition should be in elif. Elif num less than 0. So if the number is less than 0, then we have to print num is negative, because if a number is less than 0, which means that a number is negative. So in the else block, we need an else block to check if the number is 0, which means here, remember the else is a default statement. Okay, we cannot add any condition or we cannot write any text expression in the else because it should be the default option. If all the conditions are wrong, then we have to print the else block. We have to execute the else block. So we cannot add any condition in the else. So if a number is not negative or not positive, then obviously it's 0, right? So we can print it's 0. Okay, now let's try this program. So at the bottom, you can, I'm just minimizing. Okay, no need. So it's asking us to enter a number. Maybe I'm typing a number -10. You can see it is printing -10 is negative. Now let's run it again. Maybe I'm typing 55. It's saying 55 is positive. Now let's try the next number, maybe 0. It's saying it's 0. So whenever it is 0, num is 0. So 0 greater than 0 is wrong. So the computer will check the next condition. If 0 less than 0, that's also wrong. So it will go inside the else block and it will print it's 0. Okay. So I hope it's clear. So I'm going to give you a homework. So your homework question, maybe I'm going to give you a small assignment. So your assignment question is, you need to ask the user. Okay. So you will have, so what you can do is that you can ask the user to enter a name. Okay. Ask the user to enter a name and check if the name is Sarah. Otherwise, okay, so here you can see I cannot add any hashtag because the question is too long, right? So I'm going to use a multi-line comment. Multi-line comment means we can make more than one line as a comment. Okay. Yeah. So that we can fix. So otherwise, so if you have to ask the user to enter a name and you need to check if the name is Sarah. So if it is not Sarah, otherwise you need to check if it is Ali. Okay. So if the name is Sarah, then you have to print hi Sarah. Otherwise, you need to check if it is Ali. Then you have to print hi Ali. Otherwise, you need to print I don't know who you are. Sorry, one second. I don't know who you are. Okay. Line is too long. Ignore it, no worries. Okay. So this is your first assignment. Okay. So now I'm going to give you another homework. So in that question, what you have to do is that you have to ask the user to enter a number between maybe 1 to 4. Okay. So you have to ask the user to enter a number between 1 to 4. And you need to check if the option is 1. Okay. So if the option is 1, you need to ask the user to enter a number. Under the first number, what you can do is that first you can ask the user to enter a number, store it in the variable num1. Then ask the user to enter another number, store it in the variable num2. Then ask the user to enter a number between 1 to 4. Whether they have to do like 1 is for addition, 2 is for subtraction, 3 is for multiplication, and 4 is for division. You can give them the options in the print statement. You can ask it like, you can ask a question like type 1 for addition, or 2 for subtraction, or 3 for multiplication, or 4 for division, something like that. Okay. So you will have 3 variables in this project. One is to enter the number, second one is to enter the num2, and third one is to enter the num3. Okay. Sorry, not num3 means the option. So if the user has entered the option 1, Then you have to add the numbers and you have to print the addition result. And if they have entered the number 2, then you have to subtract the numbers and you have to print the result. And if they has entered 3, you have to multiply it. And same for the 4. If it is 4, you have to divide the numbers and you have to print the result. Okay. So that's all for today. See you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum. Have a nice day.